Mark, I'm done sneaking around, Sarah said, her voice flat. She leaned back in her chair at the dinner table, a little smirk playing on her lips as she swirled the wine in her glass. I've got someone else, someone who really gets me, and he'll be staying over sometimes. Mark, who was calmly sipping his coffee, gave a small smile. I think you'll find he's not much use to you anymore, seeing as he's already lost what made him useful. Sarah's smirk vanished. Confusion flickered in her eyes. What the hell are you talking about? Mark set his mug down slowly, his gaze steady. You're about to find out. He'd seen the signs for months. The late work nights, the sudden interest in how she looked, the way she flinched from his touch while her phone seemed glued to her hand. But hearing her say it so casually, like announcing a change in the weather, it was different. She was testing him, waiting for the explosion. Instead, he'd been quiet, observing. I'm tired of hiding, she'd said, that smug look he'd grown to despise plastered on her face. His name is David, and he'll be here sometimes. Mark's fingers tightened around his mug, but he kept his voice even. David, huh? Well, David's going to be inconvenienced. Sarah's confidence wavered. She'd expected anger, maybe begging. This quiet certainty from Mark was unsettling. What do you mean, inconvenienced? Her voice wasn't as steady as before. Mark leaned back, watching her squirm. He'd let her think she was in control. That was her mistake. You'll see soon enough, he said, standing up. Enjoy tonight. It's the last normal one you'll have. He left her at the table, the silence thick with unspoken threats. He hadn't confronted her when he first suspected. He'd watched, tracked her routines, even followed her once to confirm what his gut already knew. David, a pathetic nobody who had no idea Mark had been digging into his life the moment he became a threat. Mark found everything: David's dead-end job, his history of petty crimes. Sarah thought David was this great guy. She had no clue he was a mess. And then Mark found the medical records. That's when the real plan took shape. That night, Mark pretended to go to bed early. Just as he expected, Sarah was soon dolling herself up, sending a text. He's coming over. Mark watched it all on his hidden camera feed. David walked into their home like he owned the place, a smug grin on his face, completely unaware this was the last free walk he'd ever take. Mark let them get comfortable, let them think they were safe. Then, he sent the anonymous email. Within minutes, police sirens wailed outside. Sarah and David barely had time to look surprised before the front door burst open, officers swarming in. David Miller, you're under arrest for fraud, embezzlement, and identity theft, an officer barked, slamming David against the wall. You have the right to remain silent. Mark walked down the stairs slowly. Sarah turned, her face a mask of horror. You, she whispered. You did this. Mark smiled, a cold, knowing smile. Of course I did. Did you really think I'd just stand by? Sarah lunged, but an officer held her back. Careful, Mark said calmly. You're still my wife, legally. And by the time I'm done, you'll have nothing. Sarah's world was starting to crumble, but this was just the beginning. She stood frozen as David was dragged away, his protests swallowed by the officers reading him his rights. Her face was a twisted mess of shock, fear, and rage. What the hell have you done? She spat, her voice shaking. Mark leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, watching her realize she had no control anymore. Me? He said, feigning innocence. I just let the law do its job. You might want to sit down, Sarah. Your life is about to get very complicated. She clenched her fists. You think you've won? That bastard will be out on bail in no time. Mark chuckled, shaking his head. You still don't get it, do you? I wasn't just watching you two play house. I was digging, and I found everything I needed to make sure David never walks away from this. Her expression faltered. Mark took out his phone. Let me paint you a picture. You're great. David isn't just some cheat. He's a criminal, fraud, identity theft, a history of bad debts. And oh, look at this, the record of trying to meet up with underage girls online. Sarah's face went white. You're lying, she whispered, but the doubt in her voice was clear. Mark turned the screen so she could see the proof. Screenshots, chat logs, financial records, all tied to David. Tell me, Sarah, he said, watching her panic grow. What do you think happens when the court finds out you not only slept with this guy, but brought him into our home, introduced him to our friends? Think that'll look good for you? Her hands trembled. I didn't know. You didn't care, Mark corrected. And now you're going down with him. Financially, at least. As Sarah struggled to process this, Mark kept going. You might want to check your bank accounts. He pulled out his own phone. Oh wait, never mind. They're empty. Her head snapped up. What? Mark shrugged. That joint savings account. The one you thought I was too dumb to notice? I've been moving funds for months. Every little thing you bought for him, every secret dinner, I tracked it. And when I filed for divorce this morning, I made sure you'd walk away with nothing. She grabbed her phone, her hands shaking so badly she almost dropped it. Her face drained of color as she checked her accounts. You're lying, she said weakly. Check for yourself, Mark said casually. Oh, and the house. It's mine. You signed a prenup, remember? Not a cent for you. She looked up at him, pure desperation in her eyes. You bastard. You can't do this. Mark stepped closer, lowering his voice. I already did. Tears welled in her eyes. The smug confidence she'd had when she'd presented that open marriage idea was gone, replaced by raw fear. No money, no home, and soon, no reputation. And Mark wasn't finished. Now, Sarah, he said, stepping back. I'd love to stay and watch you fall apart, but I have things to do. You, on the other hand, have about 24 hours before the real fun begins. She wiped at her tears angrily. What do you mean? Mark smirked. Let's just say you're about to be famous. Her phone buzzed, then again and again. She frowned, opening her messages. Dozens of notifications flooded in. Screenshots of her affair circulating in family and friend group chats. The police report detailing David's crimes. A leaked copy of that ridiculous open marriage contract she tried to push on him. Now a viral joke online. Her breathing quickened as she scrolled through the damage. You sent this to everyone? She choked out. Not just them, Mark said, turning towards the door. Your job, your family, our neighbors, even your precious yoga instructor. Hope you're ready to be the talk of the town. He walked out, leaving her standing in the ruins of her own choices, and he didn't look back. By the next morning, Sarah's life was unrecognizable. She wasn't just the town's talked-about woman. She was a laughingstock. The texts, the screenshots, the evidence of her open marriage proposal, it had spread like wildfire. Friends blocked her, her family disowned her, and even her co-workers, who once admired her, now looked at her with disgust. The best part? Her boss fired her. The company couldn't risk the scandal. David, her great love, was denied bail. Turns out, being exposed as a predator doesn't sit well with judges. The divorce papers were served. She had 30 days to get out of Mark's house. As for Mark, he was doing better than ever. Sarah called him that night, a broken, sobbing mess. Please, she choked out. We need to talk. I'm sorry. I made a mistake. Please, I have nowhere to go. Mark let her ramble, let her taste the panic she'd so carelessly inflicted on him. Then, he simply said, not my problem, and hung up. She sent dozens of messages. He ignored every single one. She'd made her choice. Now she could live with it. By the end of the week, Sarah had one last desperate move. She showed up at his door, makeup smeared, hair a mess, completely broken. Please, she whispered, I need your help. I don't have anyone else. Mark looked her up and down. This was the same woman who'd smirked at him, thinking he was weak. Now, she was pathetic and ruined. He smiled, a cruel twist of his lips. So, what happened to your great, enduring lover? She flinched. Gone, she murmured. He won't even take my calls. Mark chuckled. Yeah, neither will I. Then, he shut the door in her face. She collapsed, sobbing, but he didn't care. She was dead to him. And with that, he walked away, leaving her to drown in the wreckage she had so carefully built for herself. Was this revenge justified, or did it go too far?